Noking there? No. Ada foto ini naman?
Kamarnya dari cerita kita dari
They can select the height. Thiruvan Saranai. A very good morning to each and every one of you, and welcome everyone for our meditation retreat. I am so glad that you decided to still come to the retreat, because we are so hopeful that our Buddhist nun will visit us and will conduct the retreat. And we couldn't invite her for 10 years. She visited us 10 years ago. So we were so hopeful. She was supposed to do a retreat in Cleveland Buddhist Temple, and yesterday, and then today is here. But so as you know, that she got really ill, and on Friday, she had fever up to 101. So not advisable to travel, and also she has a bad cough. So she was afraid that she will scare so many people in the plane if they start to cough like that. So it's still not fit to travel anyway. So and so then we had to plan differently, so we decided the three of us will conduct the retreat. And I'm glad that you decided to come. But I was in touch with her, and this morning I contacted her. She's feeling a little better today, so I invited her to join our retreat in the afternoon over Zoom. So she will give a Dhamma talk at 2:00 in our schedule. At 2:00 we have a Dhamma talk. So she will give the Dhamma talk, so we still be able to see her over Zoom today. So with that, we will start our practice. So first of all, we are going to observe 8 non-monastic precepts. We call Ajiva Attamaka Sila. And so these 8 precepts are helpful for us to continue our practice. Meditation is successful when we do it on moral foundation. When we make commitment to behave in a particular way, in non-harmful way to ourselves and to others. When we make that commitment, when we stick to those moral precepts, and then our meditation going to be very, very successful. And without a moral basis, any forms of meditation is not going to be very successful. So therefore, we are going to observe, or we are going to take a vow to follow these 8 precepts, 8 non-monastic precepts, because there are also other set of 8 precepts that we observe on full moon days and on Vesak days, but the kind of precept that we are observing today is a little different. And if you notice, there are more precepts with regard to the speech. Because in meditation, we really need to watch our speech, because our speaking involves so many thoughts, so many, reasoning out, so many, cognitive function. Then only we speak, and then after you speak, and then you expect a response. And so one word can create so many thoughts. So in meditation, today what we are trying to do is to calm our mind. So we don't want to like disturb it. We don't want to make it more active. So if you watch our speech, and that's one step to bring calmness to our mind. And so unfortunately I can't do it or we can't do it, because we have to guide you, give the instructions. But as practitioners, let us try to minimize our speech. And today our goal is not to worry about others, and to completely focus our mind on our own mind. So and in order for us to turn our attention inward, it's very important that we minimize or control our speech. So, of course, we are allowed to speak, but only when it is necessary. Otherwise, you maintain silence. You maintain silence, and you watch your mind, and you watch your body. You speak only when it is really, really, really necessary. So that way we can maintain peace. We can help others who are practicing meditation too. So the best, so we are helping ourselves, and also we are helping others. So, with that, let us now observe the 8 precepts. So in your paper, you may find the first one. And so let us, please, I will guide you, and please recite Namo Tassa 3 times together. So put your palms together, and otherwise, and if you have to hold the paper, you can simply hold the paper. Don't have to put your palms together. Otherwise, you keep it, and then let us now say Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa 3 times.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Please repeat after me. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. The 8 precepts. Panatipata veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Adinnadana veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Kamesu miccācara veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Musavada veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Pisunaya vācāya veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Parusāya vācāya veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Sampappalāpa veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Micchā ājīva veramani. Sikkhapadang samadhyami. Tisaranena saddhinga jiva attamaka silang dhammang sadhukang surakkitang katva apamadena sampade tabbang. Let us now read the English translations of the precepts. Let us read together. I undertake the training rule to abstain from taking life. I undertake the training rule to abstain from taking what is not given. I undertake the training rule to abstain from sensual misconduct. I undertake the training rule to abstain from false speech. I undertake the training rule to abstain from malicious speech. I undertake the training rule to abstain from harsh speech. I undertake the training rule to abstain from useless speech. I undertake the training rule to abstain from wrong livelihood. Okay. So now you can keep your folder away. So meditation is mainly a training of our mind. The original word for meditation is bhavana, which means cultivation or development. So whenever we hear the word meditation, usually what comes to our mind is more like a stillness, calmness, silent observation. which is important part of the meditation that we are going to do today also. But it's not only that. Uh, Meditation involves quite number of practices that can help us to develop our mind, to train our mind. So in today's retreat, we are planning to also train and develop our mind, because our mind is such a process. It it always likes to learn. Learn means it always likes to be conditioned, and so therefore our mind is very quick to learn many things. So whether we train our mind or not, is going to get trained anyway, not purposely, yeah. So because whenever we observe others' behavior, and when we react to certain situation, is develop patterns. That's the nature of the mind. Our mind develops patterns, and very quickly develop patterns. And so if you don't train it, it's going to get conditioned. It's going to train in many ways. So usually without, so we already have trained our mind, but not consciously, not purposely, but simply have been conditioned and trained in the sense that been conditioned through variety of experiences that went through, the people that we have observed, and so it is already been trained, but not necessarily the best way. And it is because there are already patterns that we have developed in our mind. So sometimes we can have a pattern. We have trained our mind to get irritated and anger easily. We have developed that pattern. Maybe we have developed a pattern to like always feel sad or disappointed, or feel depressed. That will be another pattern. Or maybe we will develop a pattern of always feel maybe threatened even by the presence of others, and feel threatened and want to like defend ourselves, or even like jealousy. So these are common patterns that we may you know have developed. That's common for all human beings. But what we are going to do in meditation is actually making a purposeful effort to train our mind towards the wholesome way. Just like we have unconsciously trained our mind to get irritated and get angry, we can purposely train our mind to be towards loving kindness, towards friendliness, towards acceptance and understanding and loving kindness. And we can also train our mind to not to attach, but to let go. And we can train our mind to be equanimous. So those are all possibilities, because mind is not a static thing. According to the Buddhist teachings, mind is not one entity. It's not one single thing. It's not a finished product. Mind is viewed more as a process, as a flow, as a stream. We call it vijnana sota. It's a stream. So mind is not a fixed thing. It's not the finished product. We are not done yet. We are all in the making. It's still in the making. So because mind is flowing all the time, it's not finished product. So we can reshape our mind. We can teach new things to our mind. We can unlearn what you have learned. So in the meditation, what we are really doing is actually unlearn unwholesome patterns that is disturbing our peace, that is disturbing our relationships, that is disturbing our clarity of our mind, and then also learning wholesome patterns that can help us to stay in peace and have more clarity in our mind. So basically, what Buddha has taught us actually, we can through training of the mind, we can achieve two main things. We can achieve so many things, but mainly two things through training the mind. One is through training the mind, we can actually achieve a higher forms of happiness, deeper forms of happiness. Usually, whenever we think about happiness, our happiness is always related to our senses, right? Like think about a happy thing, right? And happiness is always come through seeing a beautiful thing, or listening to a soothing sound, or smelling, or having a good meal, right? And maybe having good tactile sensation, comfortable tactile sensation, any sensual experience. So usually we relate our happiness to our senses. So the any happiness that we get from our senses is called sensual happiness, or we call kama sukha. And Buddha said that yes, that is possible, and that's what human all living beings are doing. But Buddha said that that form of happiness is very meager, is very primitive. As human beings, we are capable of experiencing more deeper level of happiness. That happiness related to senses is common for all living beings. But there's also a little bit of, there's also a problem with the happiness related to senses, because happiness related to senses are very fleeting. We cannot maintain that happiness. We can have a really joyful moment of seeing something beautiful, or listening, or eating, but it vanishes quickly, and then we want to recreate it again. And then it's not staying, it's not stable. We have to like always constantly struggle to maintain that happiness. But in our effort to have those happiness through our senses, we may have to do all kind of bad things too, to maintain that happiness. We will do immoral things also. And then, no matter how many times we try, this happiness related to our senses is ultimately gives us not a satisfaction, but gives us a feeling of lack, feeling of wanting more. And so there will be a momentary joy and satisfaction, excitement, but it always ends with some kind of disappointment, some kind of lack, some kind of wanting more. So no matter how many times that we have, enjoyed our sensual pleasure, and by now, we have lived many many decades already now. We have, enjoyed our sensual happiness many 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 times. We should be completely happy by now, right? Oh, except Kisan, yeah, she's still starting, yeah. But 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 what but what we really feel is always not really there. um, so therefore, but Buddha is saying that is the happiness related to senses is very primitive level of happiness, and it's also there are also consequences adina also, because we can be attached to it, and we will do more immoral things to achieve those happinesses. And so therefore Buddha recommended that as human beings we are capable of experiencing more deeper level of happiness that comes not through senses, happiness that we can experience beyond our senses, and that comes through the training of the mind through our meditative experiences. So today we will try, we will make an effort to withdraw from our senses, like a turtle, uh, uh, tortoise, right? Tortoise, tortoise, or
Tortoise. Oh, tortoise.
tortoise, yeah. And we kind of withdraw our senses from the senses, and then try to settle ourselves in our body. So today we are making an effort to maintain our awareness within the framework of our body, and that's one way we can actually, bring some calmness to our mind. And then through different contemplations and reflections, we will, calm our mind, and then we'll be able to experience more deeper level of happiness. So Buddha said that once we, at least temporarily can minimize, excitements, minimize. Um, uh, minimize indulgence of our senses. We When we minimize that, we experience different kind of freedom, different kind of peace. We call nekkhamma sukha, like remove being away. For example, today when you sit here in this meditation hall, there are not many exciting things around us. Um, but do you feel unhappy? right? By removing from so many, bombardments of, all the sensory stimulations, we also feel different kind of happiness. Sensory stimulations is nice, exciting, but constant sensory stimulation can be so tiresome, can be so bothersome. But when we withdraw from this and then we get a kind of calmness, it's a different kind of happiness, not the happiness like excitement, but happiness of more peace, more, freedom, and more settling kind of happiness. So, and then we can achieve more, furthermore happiness, what we call Vupasama Sukha, by calming the mind, by reducing the constant, worrying about things, but and then reducing that function, and then settling our mind with the wholesome meditation object, and then we can calm this constant, agitation, constant wandering of the mind, and by doing that, we can experience more deeper level of happiness. But we can actually, that happiness can be felt throughout our body also. If we continue to practice our meditation for some time, we can feel that happiness, because that kind of relaxation of the mind, withdrawal from the senses, and minimizing the sensual indulgence, actually relaxes the whole body, because each sensory excitement agitates certain parts of the body. It's not only the senses and the mind, but also the whole body. There's always agitation. There are hormones being released. When you're excited, the whole body is active, is agitated. But when we are relieving ourselves from those things, and our whole body get relaxed, and we can experience relaxation uh, in all the muscles in the body, not at once, but gradually, when you keep on practicing, we can experience complete relaxation throughout the body, and we can feel that lightness of the body, this spaciousness of the body, and it's a higher forms of happiness. Once you experience it, you will like it. But no, of course not. We shouldn't attach those happinesses too. But it's possible that we can experience deeper level of happiness through meditation. So as human beings, we have right to this happiness, though most of them are not really, experiencing it, or not do not know how the access to that happiness. But we are going to learn it today. So that's one thing, one benefit. Uh, Through training of the mind, we can experience deeper level of happiness that is not related to our senses. And the second benefit that we are going to get is, through training of the mind, we are going to develop more clarity in our mind, more clarity in our mind, which means that how we see things, how we understand things. Usually, in our normal mind, we don't see things accurately, and we most of the time we misunderstand what we see, and we because most of the time how we see and experience things is simply through projecting our own concepts to what we are seeing or encountering. With the meditation practice, we can develop more clarity whenever we see a person, whenever we see a thing, whenever we hear anything, before we quickly project our own concepts to that whatever we are encountering. With meditation, we can take a moment to observe what is really occurring in front of us without coloring it. Because most of the time, we keep coloring, we keep putting our concepts and projecting our own views and concepts to whatever we experience. And therefore we don't really really understand what is around us. And so, but with this training of the mind, we develop this ability through mindfulness to simply witness, is simply witness, simply observe what is there. And then understand, notice the tendency to interpret it, tendency to color it, and observe it and simply suspend that process and then experience what is in front of us. So then we develop clarity. As a result of that clarity of the mind, we will begin to see the impermanence, the change in nature of the things. We will begin to see the true nature of things, and then as a result, we will develop very important quality what we call letting go or non-attachment, which can bring more peace later. So, so what Buddha has said us as human beings, we can experience deeper level of happiness, and we can have more clarity to our mind. So we can be happy more, and we can see things more clearly than what we are doing right now. So the how we experience happiness, the techniques that is related to an experience a deeper level of happiness is called samatha forms of meditation, more like a calming techniques of meditation, and the techniques that we use to develop more clarity uh, of our mind is called vipassana forms of meditation, developing more understanding and insights. So morning hours, we have planned to develop calmness or more some of the forms of meditation in the morning hours, and towards the afternoon we will try a little bit of vipassana forms of meditation. So then we develop both happiness and clarity. Of course, within one day we will achieve some progress, some clarity, but we will get some glimpses of those, two levels of this deeper level of happiness and insight. Okay, so in order to do that in morning hours, what we are trying to do is first we are going to use two techniques. One is to bring our whole attention to our body and anchoring ourselves in the body. So in the Buddhist meditation, our body is not a burden to meditation, and that's how many people saw. But in Buddhist meditation, body is a very important tool for meditation, because wonderful thing about the body is that it's always in the present moment. Body does not go to the past or the future. It is the mind that can keep thinking about those things. So as long as you can anchor your attention within your body, as long as you can maintain your awareness within the framework of the body, observing any kinds of sensation, any kind of body movements, any kind of body posture. We can pay attention to the posture of the body, how the basic outline of the body. We can observe the movement of the body, or we can observe any touch sensation available in the body. As long as we are paying attention to the body, either movements, posture, or sensations, we are our mind is relaxed, and we don't have unnecessary thoughts. And so we will try to develop that technique to, like, body awareness, what we call body awareness, and maintaining awareness within the framework of the body. And then we will also use objects of meditation like breathing and loving kindness as a as a invitation to our mind to rest. So we because our mind may be doing so many things because we haven't given it a task. Mind is very busy when you don't give it a task. That is really ironical thing. A recent neuroscience has discovered we are most unhappy, or we are most mentally active when we are resting. Yeah, in 2010, there was a study in Harvard University about wandering mind, because when we are doing a task, when you're focusing on a task, and so you have limited function of the mind. When you are resting, so-called resting, really resting, but when you don't have a specific task, and that's when we start to worry about, think about what happened, and going, and all kinds of things happening, and that's when the wandering mind get activated. And they have done a very interesting research actually. They developed a mobile app and recruited 2,250 people, and volunteers, and they have given this app to them. And from once in a while, randomly, they will contact them and ask them what they are doing and whether they are happy or unhappy. So that's what they have done. What you are doing, or what you are thinking of, and whether you are happy or unhappy. What they found in after this 2,000 plus, volunteers studying of them, 47% of the time, people are thinking of people are uh, thinking people are at 40% of the time they are not focusing on what they are doing, so they are thinking on something else other than what they are doing 40% of the time. According to this study, so they are thinking of something other than what they are doing. And also they have seen a very important correlations, because whenever they are not focusing on what they are doing, and that's when they are mostly unhappy. That means they are wandering mind, and mainly when they are resting, they are most unhappy. uh, so they have found this interesting relationship, that how a wandering mind, there's an article called "Wandering Mind is an Unhappy Mind." And of course, which is not a surprising thing for spiritual traditions like Buddhism and other teachings. It is the main teaching. But I'm glad that neuroscience also coming to the same conclusion. So interestingly, when we don't give a task to our mind, and then it gets really activated and become more active, and mostly it brings memories, it brings concerns to our mind that ultimately we feel unhappy. So other than developing the body awareness, we will also try to use our breath and our loving kindness. What we are really doing is we are telling our mind, you have job to do. Because when it's doing a job, it's relatively okay. So our job is to watch the breath. And so we have given a task, we are given a place for our mind to rest. This is what you are supposed to do. And maybe when you do loving kindness, we generate this loving kindness feeling. It is different from breathing. Breathing is a neutral object, but the loving kindness is a positive object, wholesome object. We focus on the loving kindness feeling. It's more like emotional state. So, but we grow it, we continue, we develop thoughts around the same theme of loving kindness. So in loving kindness meditation, we develop more wholesome thoughts again and again, but same kind of thoughts. But in breathing meditation, we try to be with the experience, and we give a job to our mind, and we give it a place our mind to rest. So then, of course, at least we have given that option to our mind. We have invited our mind. We have suggested to our mind, this is where you can rest. But of course, our mind will not necessarily rest there. It will have all kinds of memories and thoughts. And what we are really going to do is actually we are going to, paying attention to the breath, but at the same time, whenever a thought occurs to us, whenever a memory occurs to us, we are going to maintain a strong mindfulness and quickly detect any visiting of the thoughts, any visiting of a memory. We quickly acknowledge and say our mind, oh, a memory, or a thought. And so, although we are observing the breath, what we are doing at the same time is also observing our thoughts. When there are no thoughts, we observe our breath. When a thought arises, we observe it. Oh, I saw it. I saw you. And when you notice all these thoughts, and what we are really doing is actually we will not continue to think along the same theme. And a very important wisdom that we'll get in this practice is actually to learn how unimportant are our thoughts. Because we usually take our thoughts as important. Whenever a thought occurs, we want to think about it. Whenever memory surfaces, we want to think about it as if they are really important. Actually, our thoughts are random.
Most of the thoughts are not really important. Of course, there are important issues, there are important things that we need to think and plan and resolve. But vast majority of the thoughts that visit our mind are not important. So what we are really going to do, we're going to experience it, we're going to learn it, and then develop a different relationship with our thoughts. We don't have to think about everything that happened to come to our mind. We have that option if you learn the mindfulness properly. And so that's what we are going to learn. We are going to focus on our breath. You're observing the breath, the details of the breath, then those things will occur. And we quickly notice and acknowledge and simply say our mind thoughts, and we say, not important, not happening right now, by the way. Any thought that occurs in our mind could be something that happened in the past already, or maybe our projection that how we think is going to happen. So therefore, we tell ourselves, thoughts, not important, not happening right now. And just you had to just give that message. It's not happening now, but the breath is happening. And let me come back. So you keep coming back. So in that way, at the end, we develop this important understanding of our thoughts that can help us later in our normal life. When you drive, when you cook, when you are resting, and whenever thoughts occur to you, you can develop this ability to choose which thoughts to continue to think on or which one is unnecessary, and observe them, notice them, remind ourselves not important, and drop them. And that's the important ability we can develop, and we need that ability to save our energy and save our because we can be more effective if we learn this technique in our life, if we can be more peaceful if we develop this ability in our mind. So simply, not to thoughts are like visitors. They visit us. We don't have to welcome all visitors. Some visitors, we can acknowledge them, say hi, and then let them go. You don't have to open your door and let every visitor to come to your kitchen and see everything. Right? But that's what we do with our thoughts. Yes? Yeah.
Sometimes when you want to not be dropped, that's what you're thinking more about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How
Yeah,
to-
exactly. Actually, when if I ask you not to think about pizza and you will think about pizza, yeah. Actually, what happens that actually when we resist the thought, we keep continue about it. So in this practice, we are not resisting the thought. We are also not entertaining the thought. This is the middle path. We observe it. We notice it. We kind of we let the mind to have this thought, but we are going to simply watch it instead of being a part of it. So occurring of the thought is automatic, but continuation of that thought requires our choice and our effort, our bringing other memories and connecting it. So there's an involvement happening in the second stage. So what we are going to do in meditation is actually observe the thoughts, not to resist it, observing and acknowledging it, but not involving with it. So by saying that thoughts, random thoughts, not important, saying that in the mind can help us to stop continuing the thoughts. So it's not when you resist, it's going to continue. Yeah. Yes.
It's almost like we have three minds. Like, the one that goes chatters is on, and then there's the one that watches the chattering, and then there's the one that watches the chattering and the chattering.
Yeah. Actually,
Does that make sense?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
So
it seems like we could go on and
yeah.
on.
So in our meditation, what we are trying to do is we are going to develop the third mind. We are
Okay.
going to make the third mind stronger, so it will calm down everything. Yes, that's why Buddha said the mind is a process. It's not one single thing. In the five aggregates, we learn that there are a number of functions. So we have different faculties in our mind. So we are going to use the faculty of mindfulness to observe what other faculties are doing. Instead of being a part of it, we are sitting, we are using our faculty of mindfulness to watch how our mind is like going to think, our mind is popping up things. So we are kind of slowly going to the more awareness part rather than emotional part. Yeah, that is true. So we are strengthening our ability to watch. So anyway, it's a very important skill we are going to develop. So we are going to do that while observing the breath. We are not only observing the breath, that's where we are going to rest. But whenever thought and emotion occurring, memories occurring, we notice them. Say, and then be amazed. You will never believe what you will remember. It is such a random thing. You have to, oh, interesting. I remember that, but not important, not happening now. It's not serious. Let me come back to the breath. So don't indulge anything, but you can keep coming back. Yeah. So let's do that. So with that, since we have passed some time, let us start our practice. So we will start our practice with standing, right? So we can talk about sitting later, but okay. So as I mentioned before, one technique that we are going to learn today is the body awareness, keeping our attention within the framework of the body. So we will do this standing posture as a way to bring the awareness to our body. And try to spread your feet a little bit apart. That will help you to distribute your weight evenly to your 2 feet. And relax your both hands. And try your best to feel the weight of your body in your both feet. Instead of leaning to one foot more than the other, we will try to distribute our weight evenly to our 2 feet. And then let us now bring our close attention to our feet and feel how do we feel the weight of the body. We can notice the heels of our feet. Observe how the muscles are pressed in your heels. And how do you feel the floor? And feel that sensation, that touch sensation, that pressed muscles. And then slowly move into the front part of the feet. And observing all the sensation in the front area. How much sensation you can feel in that area. And you can expand your awareness, your attention, even to feel your toes. How many toes are touching your socks or the floor? Just try to notice those subtle sensations in the feet. Paying attention to the feet, we are simply being with our body. Simply paying attention to the sensation of the body allows us to be simple with our mind. When we keep our mind within the framework of the body, it makes everything simple. Our mind has less burden and it's very simple and it is in the present moment. Let us continue to feel our body. You may gently move upward And try to feel your knee area. And observe whatever sensation you have in your knee area, whether they are comfortable sensation or uncomfortable sensation or neutral sensation. Just watch them. And if you feel your clothes around the knees, feel them. If you feel how the knee is meeting the weight of the body and the pressure from the ground, the knee is a delicate area that needs to operate to balance the weight of the body. Observe that whole knee area. And then slowly come to your hips. And feel your lower back area. Feel the inward arch of your lower back. And then slowly go into your upper back around your shoulder blades. Feel how much clothes you can feel around your shoulder blades. And gently move down through your arms, all the way to your palms and fingers. Feel your fingers, the tips of your fingers. See whether you can feel any tingling sensations, sometimes even pulsations in the tips of the fingers. Just notice whatever available there for you. There's no perfect way to feel them. Whatever the way it feels to you, simply notice them. Acknowledge them. We will use these sensations as an anchor to keep our mind calm and keep our mind in the present moment. Feel the fingers and the palms. Let us be in our body, nowhere else but right here in our body. Let us do one movement to create more awareness of the body that will help us to sit long. You can simply open your eyes and simply lock your arms, lock your hand together and bring them all the way to the top of your head. We are going to stretch our body and we can use our breath. Release whatever air you have in your lungs. When you take the next in-breath, turn your palms upward and try to stretch as much as you can. Go taller, stretch your spine, go taller. And when you're breathing out, turn your palms down and simply rest on the top of the head. Again, breathing in, palms up, stretch as much as you can. Stretch and feel all the sensation happening in the back, in the arms. Breathing out, turn the palm down and rest on the head. Let's do a few more times. Breathing in, stretch. Feeling all the sensations in the body. Breathing out, coming back and resting. Breathing in, stretch. Breathing out, relaxing, calming and resting. 2 more times. Breathing in, stretch. Breathing out, coming down and resting. One last time. Breathing in, Stretch. Stretch as much as you can. Breathing out, coming down, and resting. Let's now unlock our palms and gently bring them down. And relax. Now take a moment to feel new sensations arising in your body. Maybe you have more sensation around your arms, maybe in your back. And just feel them as they arise. Notice the more awareness of your arms and the body as a result of that movement. Observing them without developing any liking or disliking towards them, simply accepting and observing them. Let us be with our body. With this awareness of the body, let us now slowly sit down for meditation. Take your time, sit down slowly and try to maintain the awareness of the body even when you sit down. Adjust your body. Try to find a comfortable posture. And try to do some little bit adjustment to your body. Sometimes little adjustment can bring more stability and comfort to our sitting. Maybe, tilting your buttock and moving your upper body a little bit, and you may try to find some stable, comfortable posture. And keep your chin somewhat parallel with the earth. Resting your palms on your lap. We will maintain this body awareness, even this sitting posture. Now you can bring your attention to where your legs are touching in this posture. What do you feel in your lower legs, where they touch? And what do you feel where your body meets the cushion? Feel that area when the muscles are pressed against the weight of the body, against the cushion. Feel that area. And then you can move to your upper body and notice whatever the sensations available in other parts of the body. We are not looking for extraordinary sensations. We are simply looking for very normal, ordinary sensations. Sometimes the warmth we feel when our body parts are touching each other. Sometimes it's simply touch sensation. Just go through the body and just keep noticing all these sensations available to us. Let us rest with this awareness of the body. We will ring this bell and do a chant to help you to stay in your body. Throughout the bell and the chant, try to stay within your body. You may move from one part of your body to another part, but stay within the
body throughout the bell and the chant. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Stay within the body. Continue to feel all the sensation available to you in the body. Sensation with our own clothes. Sensation with our body parts are touching each other. Let us rest with this awareness of the body. At this moment, we have nothing else to do. We will simply rest with this awareness of the body. Just like a bird would rest in its nest with a sense of warmth and protection. This body It's a good place to rest. Feeling the basic outline of this body, feeling all other sensations in the body. We will rest. When we are in this body awareness, you may begin to feel the breath happening in the middle of the body. Once you start to feel your breath, then bring your close attention to that breath. Notice the entering of the air through the nostrils. Notice the outgoing air through the nostrils. With whatever the details you can feel, when the air is moving through the inner walls of your nostrils, we can catch that sensation, feel it. When the air is coming out, how do you feel the air? Do you feel any air is touching your upper lips? Just explore with openness and curiosity. Explore how do you feel your breath. Let us continue to be with our breath, noticing the in-breath and the out-breath. Whenever you have other memories or thoughts, notice them, acknowledge them, and just repeat in your mind thoughts, 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 not important, not happening now, and come back to your breath. For next few minutes, let us continue to observe our breath and keep coming back to our breath again and again. Mindfully breathe in, mindfully breathe out. In this calm, peaceful moment, nothing else is happening and nothing else is important. Only the breath is important. Let us give prominence to this breath, and this breath makes everything else possible. Our whole life depends on this breath. Everything that we do in our life depends on this breath. This is the most precious thing in the world. Let us be with the breath with deep respect.
In these last few minutes, let us make a full effort to be with the breath. To stay with the breath and simply rest with the breath. Dukkha patache nidukkha bhayapattache nibbhaya Sukhapattache nisukha hontu sabbipi panino. May all those who are suffering be free from suffering. May all those who are in fear be free from fear. May all those who are grieving be free from grief. May all beings be well and happy.
Gently come out of your meditation and gently put your palms together and place them against your chest. Let us take a moment to feel grateful for this opportunity to have peaceful meditation in our life. Let us feel grateful to all great teachers, the enlightened masters in the past, who passed this wisdom from generation to generation. And feel grateful to anyone who helped your meditation, anyone who arranged this place for us, and even feel grateful to non living things which helped our meditation, including the cushion, the chair that you are sitting on, the bell, and everything. With deep gratitude, let us say Sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. Okay, that was our first session. So now it is the time for us to you share your experience in the session and maybe talk about any challenges that you had in meditation, because what you are doing is not easy, and we are kind of rechanneling our mind to a whole different direction. It's not easy, so it's important to recognize the challenges and distractions and difficulties, and then learn techniques how to deal with them. So anyone like to share? Anyone like to report whatever challenges that you had, so we can discuss the techniques how to deal with it.
I can
Okay.
share, but it's not a challenge.
Okay.
Just something I noticing that the breath is becoming like a teacher, a mentor, a friend, and a really fabulous mother, all rolled in one without saying a word. That's the
Mhm.
noticing I have of.
You mean how? Yeah, can you explain a little bit how it can become a teacher?
I'm not sure I have the words for it, but the teacher is helping me to let go. Let go. The breath seems to be the impetus for letting go.
Mhm.
And in that regard, perhaps a teacher.
Mhm.
And then, of course,
As a
mother
friend.
and friend, yes, comfort.
Mhm.
That's the sensation. And I don't mean this in any given meditation, but the accumulation of it since I've been coming. That's
Yeah.
the sense I have.
So you feel very comfortable with your breath.
Yes, yes. And really enjoying it
Mhm.
like good company.
Mhm.
That's why I say a friend, a mentor, a teacher, a mother. That's the accumulation through the last year I've noticed.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, but it's, I think, as you say, our ability to be with the breath and make it a good companion to our mind requires some training, to being familiar with our breath. And once you become so familiar with all the whole process of the breath, and then definitely it is there. And whenever you have nothing to do, you can be with your friend. And it's a pleasant experience, and it makes our mind simpler. Otherwise our mind is very complicated and very complex. Yeah, we are dealing with so many concerns and so many things, but with the bread it's become very simple, very light. And it's nice. It's a nice place to be. Thank you for sharing. Any challenge or any, because usually we discuss, challenges and difficulties, how to deal with them. Yes.
I noticed that in the beginning it was easy for me to like focus back on my breath, but as time went on longer, the thoughts kept coming in and I kept trying to accept and let them go, but
Yeah.
like then more came and more came. So
Yeah.
it's like the longer the time, the more the thoughts started
Oh,
coming.
okay. Uh, maybe in the beginning, there's some guidance, and then and at the end, you are doing by yourself. Yeah. But that's the training. That's the training. I'm glad that So you had so many thoughts visiting you.
Not so many, but like I think because I was noticing.
Yeah.
So it was like one or two in the beginning, and then it became to like a
Many.
total of maybe like 5 or 6 more
Six.
closer together.
Yeah.
Like the longer that I was.
I'm glad that you noticed so many thoughts. That means that you haven't followed those thoughts. If you picked and then followed, and then you'll be having like all fantasizing and thinking and developing, and then you don't feel like you have been disturbed so much. The reason that you notice so many thoughts occurring, that you were following the technique and you did not necessarily follow these thoughts, maybe a little bit, and you notice it, you acknowledge it, and you say, okay, thoughts, not important, not happening, coming back. And because you are doing that technique, you can observe so many thoughts. It may sound like disturbing, but that's the training that you are getting. Yeah. Yes.
My thought is, my main thought is always go back to the breath. Because, and I even before I started this, I did meditation when I was in high school before sporting things we did. And
Okay.
always, back then, I would always go back to the breath. I don't know about anybody else, but for me, it's easy for my mind to wander during the meditation. So
Is it-
it's easy for my mind to wander
Yeah.
during the meditation, so I always have to think, go back to the breath.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remind yourself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how I function through this, is going through that, just to remind myself to do that, go back to the breath. Because there's not much of a benefit to meditation if your mind's just wandering all over the place.
Yeah, I think because we have already given a place for our mind to like rest, we have suggest, okay, this is the breath, so be with it. So we have suggested our mind. So therefore, there's a place to return. So otherwise, there's no, our mind will go over there. Yeah.
And not only that, that's how the mind survives with the breath.
Yeah.
No oxygen, it dies.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the most important thing. If someone block your breath, you will sacrifice anything to breathe, get the breathing back. Any other challenge? Yes.
Sometimes I noticed that like breath was not significant enough to keep my mind in.
Mm.
So
Mm.
I will have to like force think that I'm breathing in, or the breath is going into my lungs, and now I'm breathing out, the breath is coming out. So I was thinking through that process sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I could feel it.
Yeah, that's a good observation. Because breath is a very subtle experience. So at the beginning it will be really difficult for us to catch. So sometimes as beginners, we like instead of natural breath at the beginning we can take like a long, deep in breath, like few such breath, and then try to make it very prominent. And whenever you don't feel breath very much, and then it's okay, you can take purposefully long deep breaths and make it very clear, and then you can let go and let the natural breath to occur. So, and then what's really happening, we need to like sharpen our awareness eventually even to catch this subtle sensation. But at the beginning, since it's not sharpened that much, so then we make our breath very prominent by taking deep breaths. So that's one technique you can do, like purposely taking deep few breaths, and then do it many few times until you really catch all these sensations, and then slowly go to the normal breath. Yeah. Okay.
Fine.
Yes.
Ask you.
what do we do when we have pain?
Mm.
Because I thought, okay, I'm doing the meditation, I should be,
That's
you
right.
know, freeing of this pain that I have
Yeah.
practically permanently.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's one other common challenge that we have. You mean physical pain, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And particularly when we sit like this, I'm sure that many of you have experienced some kind of pain. Um, so when you are in the meditation, we relate to our pain a little bit differently. Um, well, of course, we have an object to pay our attention to. Say breath or maybe loving kindness. So that's where we have our goal is to come to that all the time. But when you're doing it, we may have pain happening in some parts of the body, and so at the beginning, we are going to simply notice it and acknowledge, oh, I see, I know you are there, and then notice it and come back to the breath. And so we don't want to ignore, but we simply notice it and come back to the breath. And we want to do it. But sometimes our pain can be so, like severe. Then we have to do something else. But at the beginning, what we really had to do, whenever we have this anything coming, like closely, like pay attention to that without even labeling it as pain. Because the moment we say it a pain, it becomes a pain. Sometimes these things are like a sensations. And so some sensations are pleasant, some sensations are unpleasant, and some are neutral. So I think in the meditation, because we are now taking a very open, different kind of mindset, whenever you get those sensations, you can call it a prominent sensation. Not necessarily pain, because the moment we call it, because when the moment we call it pain, it becomes a pain. But we just want to like first be open to that sensation. It is a prominent sensation, maybe not that pleasant, but that's okay. That's okay. We simply notice it if it's coming from the knee, coming from the neck, coming from the back. And so we are in the breath, okay, it's coming, it's like demanding our attention. Okay, we notice, okay, a sensation, a prominent sensation. You go there, observe it a little bit, and observe exactly how it is feeling, and notice it's there. Okay, I saw it, but then come back to the breath. And then noticing and observing it can help. And one good thing about the this prominent sensations is that as long as we have them, you will not daydreaming. And that pain, the pain, I don't like to call it pain. The prominent sensation keep you in the present moment. Doesn't allow you to go. So in that way you can like understand, you can have different appreciation of the sensation and come to that. But in worst case, if it is really coming again and again and severe, and we can try to adjust your posture gradually and change your posture and make yourself comfortable. And sometimes we also pay if this is really coming back, and then you don't want to stay with you in your breath. You go to that area. That happens if it's really severely coming. You go to that specific area, and that becomes your meditation. You go to that whole area, and instead of calling it pain, you completely explore that whole area. Really explore exactly how it is happening. Is it continuous? Is it on and off? Is it coming in a linear way? Is it coming in a circular way? And explore this sensation. And you just confronting that prominent sensation and exploring all the details. When you keep exploring it, you don't feel the pain. It's a whole different, relationship when you closely observe it. And then once you realize, okay, this is how it is happening, and you understand the heaviness and everything, and then we can actually breathe into it. You can use your breath and then breathe in. And sometimes we also go like send your loving kindness to that, and then feel and make a wish with your breath. May this whole area be relaxed. And you observe it, you take a deep breath and with loving kindness and wishing that whole area to be relaxed, to be opened up, and keep doing it for some time.
Inhale,
Yeah, healing. May this area be healed. Be relaxed, be open. May there be more blood to this area, and you just make those nice, loving, kindness wishes. And if it is okay, you can come back to the breath. But if, as long as you're observing that sensation and without labeling it and exploring those sensations, you are still meditating, developing the mindfulness. But then you can also send loving kindness to that area. Yeah. Welcome. Okay. How about your sitting posture? Usually we do some workshops, to how to sit, but in today we don't have, much long time to do it. Actually, it's important to find a proper height to your body structure. So maybe, maybe after our lunch, you can try different heights, using different cushions. If you're sitting on the floor, sometimes the same height is not working for everyone. So you have to find the proper height that make you comfortable. So sometimes two cushions, three cushions. And there are also a few other ways to sit. This is not the only one way. We will do some, experiments with different posture after lunch. Okay. So so we'll have the second session in a while, but before that, we'll give you a short break. Don't go very far. If you want to use restroom, you can use restroom. If you want to drink some water, you can do it. If you want to stand up for a while, because you're going to sit another 30 minutes later, and come back and sit. Come back at 10:45. We have 4 minutes.
I have a question.
Yeah, others can go. Yeah. Yes, you can ask.
Why people don't do meditation like if they are in a laying down position? Like why it has to be?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah, actually, you can do meditation in all postures: standing, sitting, lying down, and walking. We'll be doing walking meditation later. Yeah, we can do. Yeah, but you can do lying down meditation only when we are very well trained. Otherwise, we will definitely fall asleep. So we can. No, we can do lying down.
I had a breath
I am.
comment and we ran out of time, but I noticed when I get to the end of my